Practice Test 5.
Section 1. You will hear a telephone conversation in which Francis Drew asks Mr. Harding about an arts club. First, read questions 1 to 10. For questions 1 to 10, fill in the missing information on Francis Drew's notepad. Write no more than 3 words for each answer. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 10.
Hello.
Hello, is that Appleton 363?
It is Harding speaking.
Oh, I'd like to speak to the secretary of the arts club.
Yes, speaking.
Oh, hello. My name is Francis Drew. I just moved to the area. My classmate and we'd be interested in joining the arts club, but we'd like some more information, really. You know, about joining and the sorts of activities you do.
Yes, well, what you want's our calendar. Ask at the library. I'll make sure that there are plenty there by Thursday. That's all right for you?
Yes, fine, thank you. But would you mind telling me how much it costs to join?
Membership fee for an adult is £2.50 per year, of course.
What exactly does club membership entitle one to?
Entitle you to? Oh, for a start, there's the club events. You get invited to them, of course. They're for members and only, they are free.
What sorts of events are there?
You'll see what they are when you get hold of a calendar. But, well, there's club evening, for instance, once a month, usually Wednesdays from 8 till 10.
And whereabouts do you hold them?
Club evenings, the beach pavilion. Do you know it?
No, I don't think I do. It's not near the seafront, is it?
No, up past the tennis courts on Park Avenue. You know where that is.
No, I'm afraid I don't. We'd soon find it, though.
Quite good. I don't know what your interests are. Music. Got any musical talents?
I'm not sure about talents exactly. I like music. We both do.
Do either of you sing?
Oh, yes. We've both been in choirs.
Well, there you are then. The club's got a very fine choir. Very fine. I'm in it myself, as a matter of fact. We have practices every Friday evening. And it's no good just thinking of joining if you can't make the practices.
No, of course not. But what's the procedure? If we decide to join the choir or any of the other activities, how do we go about it?
You can't get into the choir without an audition. As far as the other sections are concerned, members have to apply through the section's secretary in the first place.
Yes, right. And the fee again, I've written it down somewhere.
£2.50 each.
And where do we send it? To you?
No, I'm the secretary. It's the treasurer who deals with that. I'll give you his name if you want to write it down.
Yes, please.
His name is Hosegood. H-O-S-E and then Good.
Yes.
Initial P, address 3 Clay Hill, Appleton.
Right. And it's all right to send a cheque?
That's the usual, yes. Payable to Appleton Arts Club. Appleton, A-P-P-L-E-T-O-N. Oh, and better put your address on the back as you're new. And incidentally, there's a newsletter out 3 times a year, just to keep club members up to date with what's going on. They're sent to everyone.
That's good. Just one last thing. Would you mind telling me what the other sections are so that I can tell my classmate and we...
The players, that's our act group I've told you. Choir, you know about. There's the gramophone circle, the music workshop, the literary and discussion group. Oh, that one meets in different members' homes. Then there's the studio workshop and, what have I missed out? Oh, yes, the art talks. That's the lot, I think. The Film Society. That's the other one. Got them all.
Ah, yes, just about. Thank you very much. You've been very helpful.
Not at all. Pleased to assist. And look forward to meeting you and your classmate at the club.
Yes, thank you. Goodbye then. That is the end of section 1. You will have half a minute to check your answers. Section 2. You are going to hear the President of Australia Retailers Association give his welcome address at a convention. First, you have some time to read questions 11 to 14. As you listen to the first part of the talk, answer questions 11 to 14.
Could I have your attention for a few minutes, please? Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Norman Flagstaff, President of Australia Retailers Association. On behalf of the organising committee for our third annual Retailers Convention, I'd like to welcome you all, some of whom come afar as Brisbane and Melbourne, to this wonderful convention centre in our fair capital, Canberra, and hope you make most of your stay. We have been very lucky with the weather, and I sincerely hope that it keeps up for the rest of the week, and maybe even the following. No, I'm sure we won't be that lucky. I'm pleased to announce that we have received a record number of registrations for this year's week-long convention. For the first 5 days, we will be hosting more than 250 participants for the lecturers and workshops. And hopefully, up to 300 will be coming for the following 2 days of commercial demonstrations. Another first is we have a record number of speakers, up from 20 last year to 25 this year, as well as having 3 guest speakers from abroad, who I'm sure will provide us with a great deal of information of how business is conducted in Britain, and also, I think it's the United States, is it? No, sorry, Canada. You'll note that we will be able to offer other overseas speakers in the next few years from different countries.
Now you have a chance to read questions 15 to 20. As the talk continues, answer questions 15 to 20.
For those of you who won't attend the lunchtime meeting, there are plenty of places to go. The famous Italian restaurant, Peroni's, is not too far from the convention centre. From the centre's entrance on King Street, just go straight to the street to the Mime Park. Through the Heroes' Arch, at the other end of the park, cross William Street, and it's right next to the bank. The Jumbo Sandwich Shop for quick snacks is also nearby. From the centre, just turn right up King Street and turn left into Queen Street. Go along Queen Street until you get to the William Street, then turn right. You'll spot it right next to the William Street Underground Station. Slim's Vegetarian is also nearby. Just turn left as you leave the centre into King Street. Cross over Elizabeth Street, and it's on your left, directly opposite the church. Finally, the Geneva Bistro is always a popular place, this area. It's located behind the church on William Street. Please make sure you're back on time, though. We don't want to finish too late. On the second part of the day, I'm afraid we will make a few amendments to the programme. It's important to note that the afternoon session will begin at 2:30 p.m. and will be finished at the time indicated on your programme. There have also been a couple of venue changes. The first being the talk on marketing by Jane Howard, which one now will be held in the green room on the second floor. The workshop on distribution of goods will not be given by Sarah Moore, but by her sister Barbara, due to an unforeseen illness in the red room on the second floor. We hope she'll be back on her feet in no time. It's good of Barbara to step in right at the last minute. Finally, the workshop on advertising by Peter Newstead has been cancelled due to an airline dispute. On Friday, we'll be starting off the day with a new video presented by the Dow Keys Company as part of their opening lecture on merchandising. That's Friday the 27th. That's all for the moment. If you require any further information regarding the convention, you can talk to one of the many convention helpers wearing a distinctively blue and gold jackets. One thing before I finish, if there are any problems with times and locations of the day's activities, please remember that there is a notice board on the first. Is it the first? Yes, the first floor. Now, we hope you enjoy yourselves and we look forward to seeing you again.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Section 3. Zoe goes to talk to her academic advisor. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 30. Now, listen carefully to the conversation between Zoe and her advisor and answer questions 21 to 30.
How are you getting on, Zoe? Feeling at home yet?
Well, more or less. There are still some things I need to buy, and I haven't found my way to all the facilities yet, but I really love the campus, and I've already made a few friends.
Fantastic. Now let's see what we can do to get your studies off to the right start too. You're on the foundation course, so you can take up to 8 modules. What we advise is that you take 4 modules in the first semester and, assuming everything goes well, 4 in the second. Have you decided which you want to take in this semester?
I haven't made my mind up yet. I can't decide whether to take Principles of Marketing or Introduction to International Trade.
Well, that depends on your career goal. You're planning to work in the biotechnology sector, aren't you?
Well, that's my present thinking, but I guess I might change my mind.
Right, well, marketing is a broad general subject that you will find really useful in a number of careers. International trade, on the other hand, is more specific. That's fine if you're sure it's the sort of work you want to do. A lot of students start off thinking about that option because it seems glamorous, but marketing can also be an exciting career, and there's a wide choice of jobs. Maybe you ought to wait until your career ideas are a bit more definite before you go down that road.
Yes, I see. I could take international trade next year, couldn't I?
Sure. You could do international finance as well. So, in your first semester, you've got Principles of Marketing, Introduction to Economics, Banking and Finance, and let's see, Principles of Financial Accounting. How do you feel about that as a package?
It's okay, I think, but I'm a bit worried about the maths. There'll be some statistics to do, won't there?
Basic statistics, yes, but nothing more difficult than your last year of school maths.
I know, but our maths syllabus was a bit old-fashioned. Mostly algebra, geometry, trigonometry and stuff, hardly any stats.
Right, well, it sounds as if you could do with the maths brush-up course. Can I arrange for you to attend just the classes on statistics, if you like?
That'd be great. I didn't want to do the whole of maths again, but the stats classes would make me feel much more confident, thanks.
Hang on a minute, there's one more thing. Your English. Now, you know you have to reach a satisfactory standard in English by the end of your first year to be allowed to go on to the main BSc course.
Yeah, now I'm in an English-speaking environment and I have to speak English all the time. I'm sure I'll be all right.
It certainly helps, but speaking isn't everything. You'll have to get your reading up to the standards where you can understand the books on your course reading list quickly. To get the information and ideas, you need to write your essays. That means you have to develop a high level of comprehension skills. You'll never get through the course material if you try to read the books intensively from cover to cover. That's why our language skills development program gives you a series of graded academic texts to study and answer questions on a limited time. You'll probably find it hard at first, having to work against the clock without a dictionary.
How can I improve my skimming and scanning skills?
Good question. For that, you'll have to do a range of specially designed exercises. Sometimes these will be from a transparency, because it is often how the lecture material is presented.
Sometimes I think I'll never learn all the vocabulary. English is such an enormous language.
I know what you mean. English is the biggest language ever, at least 350,000 words. Even Winston Churchill only knew 60,000, so they say. But as an academic student, you can get a lot of help from the academic word list by Avril Coxhead of Victoria University. That's in Wellington, New Zealand.
I've studied word lists, of course, but how does this one help?
The academic word list is based on a survey of 3.5 million words of academic text. It contains 570 families of the words most commonly found in academic texts. Well, that's apart from the 2,000 most useful words in English. They come in a separate list. You can see copies of both in the library.
You said word families. Do you mean words that are similar?
In a way, yes. It means that all the different grammatical forms of a word are listed together, so you can see the nouns, verbs, adjectives, forms with prefixes and suffixes and so forth. It'll be clearer when you look at it. Anyway, Avril Coxhead gives you really great hints about how to learn the words, so it shouldn't be too daunting.
The trouble is, I tend to forget the words I learn.
Well, there are two ways you can tackle that. First, always try to learn the words in a context. Either learn a whole sentence using a word, or learn a phrase that the word typically comes in. We call phrases like that collocations.
That's a new one on me. Collocations. I'd better make a note of it.
You do that. You can find collocations in most modern dictionaries. Anyway, as I was saying, there's a second study aid I recommend for vocabulary learning. When you get an assignment, take a sheet of paper and write 4 headings. Words I can use, words I can recognise but can't use, words I'm not sure of, words I don't know. Don't bother with the simple words, of course. Then go back after 2 weeks and look at the list again. Can you move any of the words into a better column?
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Section 4. You will hear a lecture giving advice on how to present a seminar paper. First read questions 31 to 40. Complete the notes of the outline. Write no more than 3 words in each answer.
In this talk, I'm going to give some advice on how to present a seminar paper. At one time, most university teaching took the form of giving formal lectures. Nowadays, many university teachers try to involve their students more actively in the learning process. One of the ways in which this is done is by conducting seminars. In a seminar, what usually happens is this. One student is chosen to give his ideas on a certain topic. These ideas are then discussed by the other students, the participants in the seminar. What I'd like to discuss with you today is the techniques of presenting a paper at a seminar. As you know, there are 2 main stages involved in this. One is the preparation stage, which involves researching and writing up a topic. The other stage is the presentation stage, when you actually present the paper to your audience. It is this second stage that I am now concerned with. Let us therefore imagine that you have been asked to lead off a seminar discussion and that you have done all the necessary preparation. In other words, you have done the research and you have written it up. How are you going to present it? There are two ways in which this can be done. The first method is to circulate copies of the paper in advance to all the participants. This gives them time to read it before the seminar, so that they can come already prepared with their own ideas about what you have written. The second method is where there is no time for previous circulation, or there is some other reason why the paper cannot be circulated. In that case, of course, the paper will have to be read aloud to the group, who will probably make their own notes on it while they are listening. In this talk, I am going to concentrate on the first method, where the paper is circulated in advance, as this is a most efficient way of conducting a seminar. But most of what I am going to say also applies to the second method, and indeed may be useful to remember any time you have to speak in public. You will probably be expected to introduce your paper even if it has been circulated beforehand. There are two good reasons for this. One is that the participants may have read the paper but forgotten some of the main points. The second reason is that some of the participants may not in fact have had time to read your paper, although they may have glanced through it quickly. They will therefore not be in a position to comment on it unless they get some idea of what it is all about. When you are introducing your paper, what you must not do is simply read the whole paper aloud. This is because, firstly, if the paper is a fairly long one, there may not be enough time for discussion. From your point of view, the discussion is the most important thing. It is very helpful for you if other people criticise your work. In that way, you can improve it. Secondly, a lot of information can be understood when one is reading. It is not so easy to pick up detailed information when one is listening. In other words, there may be a lack of comprehension or understanding. Thirdly, it can be very boring listening to something being read aloud. Anyway, some of your audience may have read your paper carefully and will not thank you for having to go through all of it again. Therefore, what you must do is follow the following 9 points. 1. Decide on a time limit for your talk. Tell the audience what it is. Stick to your time limit. This is very important. 2. Write out your spoken presentation in the way that you intend to say it. This means that you must do some of the work of writing the paper again, in a sense. You may think that this is a waste of time, but it isn't. If a speaker tries to make a summary of his paper while he is standing in front of his audience, the results are usually disastrous. 3. Concentrate only on the main points. Ignore details. Hammer home the essence of your argument. If necessary, find ways of making your basic points so that your audience will be clear about what they are. 4. Try to make your spoken presentation lively and interesting. This doesn't necessarily mean telling jokes and anecdotes, but if you can, think of interesting or amusing examples to illustrate your argument. Use them. 5. If you are not used to speaking in public, write out everything you have to say, including example, etc. Rehearse what you are going to say until you are word perfect. 6. When you know exactly what you are going to say, reduce it to outline notes. Rehearse your talk again, this time from the outline notes. Make sure you can find your way easily from the outline notes to the full notes, in case you forget something. 7. At the seminar, speak from the outline notes, but bring both sets of notes and your original paper to the meeting. Knowing that you have a full set of notes available will be good for your self-confidence. 8. Look at your audience while you are speaking. The technique to use is this. First, Read the appropriate parts of your notes silently. If you are using outline notes, this won't take long. Then, look up at your audience and say what you have to say. Never speak while you are still reading. While you are looking at your audience, try to judge what they are thinking. Are they following you? You will never make contact with your audience if your eyes are fixed on the paper in front of you. 9. Make a strong ending. One good way of doing this is to repeat your main points briefly and invite questions or comments. Perhaps I can sum up by saying this. Remember that listening is very different from reading. Something that is going to be listened to has therefore got to be prepared in a different way from something that is intended to be read.
That is the end of section 4. You will have half a minute to check your answers. That is the end of practice test 5.